when we talked about the insurrection that took place on January 6th, and there was you had an officer who was injured. Okay. I think there may have been a female officer injured, but we do know that there was a male officer injured. And NBC News is reporting that a Capitol police officer has died from injuries after clashing with pro-Trump mob. This is a story from NBC News that that just came in, and I saw it here. The officer Brian D. Sicknick is the fifth person to die from Wednesday's violent clash in Washington, D.C. We're going to try to pull up this article. So, see, Trump has blood on his hands. Trump has blood on his hands because he sent these dumbasses, these domestic terrorists, he sent them to the U.S. Capitol building when at the rally, as I just talked about. A U.S. Capitol police officer has died a day after clashing with a pro-Trump mob at the U.S. Capitol. A U.S. Capitol police officer has died a day after clashing with a pro-Trump mob at the Capitol. Officer Brian Sicknick was injured while engaging with protesters Wednesday and returned to his division office where he collapsed. Capitol Police spokeswoman Eva Malecki said he was taken to a local hospital where he died about 9:30 p.m. on Thursday. Now, U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who joined the Capitol Police Department in 2008, is the first person to die from Wednesday's violent clash in Washington. All right. Now, we know we had one woman who was a protester who was shot and killed. She was shot by Capitol Police. Sicknick, who joined the Capitol Police. Okay. Capitol Police fatally shot an Air Force veteran and ardent Trump supporter who was part of the mob that made it into the building. 3 other people died in quote unquote medical emergencies following the riot, officials said. News of the officer's death comes shortly after the resignation of U.S. Capitol Police Chief Steven Sund that we just talked about, amid criticism of the department's response to rioters who broke through barricades, vandalized the building, and clashed with police. U.S. Capitol Police Chief Steven Sund's resignation will go into effect January 16th, as I already said, just a few days shy of President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration, which is on January 20th. A police spokeswoman said Thursday. The head of the department's union also called for a quote change at the top, end quote. So once again, this is an effect how this is an example of how words have consequences. This is an example of how back in 2016, I said that, and many other people, I wasn't the only one who said this, but many other people, I said that Donald Trump was totally unfit to be president. I talked about how elections have consequences. I said we can't let this idiot become president. And we see he's getting worse day by day. And yeah, the 25th Amendment needs to be implemented. He needs to be removed from office. Okay. He needs to be removed from office. But isn't Donald Trump the one that talks about law and order? Wasn't that same guy talked about law and order when you had Black Lives Matter protesters out there? Wasn't he the same guy who ran in 2016 on law and order? And if Joe Biden became president, there's going to be chaos in the streets. Well, what do you call what happened at the U.S. Capitol building, January 6th? That's under your watch. In 2016, Trump ran on law and order, protecting the police. You put police in danger with your stupid ass. So he has blood on his hands once again. On top of 360,000 deaths from coronavirus, majority of that could have been avoided. Capitol Police officer dies from injuries after clashing with pro-Trump mob. It should say pro-Trump domestic terrorist, but okay. So, you know, now I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but Trump is trying to walk back his comments. And there was one article I saw dealing with this. He's trying to walk back his comments, and he's saying that there'll be a change at Congress. Let me see, which one was that? In striking shift, NBC News. In striking shift, Trump reverses positions on election laws, rioters, and COVID. It's a little late for that. This is January 7th, 2021. We didn't get a chance to talk about this. We'll talk about this some more Friday night. But a day after he told his supporters, quote unquote, "We love you," the day after he told some domestic terrorist thugs, "We love you," Donald Trump condemned them Thursday for violently swarming the U.S. Capitol in a statement that called for a, quote, "seamless transition of power." You don't want to send them to the Capitol, you dumbass. See, this is in 2016, people said months before the election, I warned our people about Trump. He has, okay, months before the 2016 election. People said, "Oh, I'm overreacting. Oh, we don't need to vote. We just need to do economic empowerment, invest in the stock market, and build businesses." I said, "That's good. My degree's in business administration. I'm all for that." But you also have to have somebody mentally stable in office. You can't have somebody that incites insurrection. You can't have somebody who coddles domestic terrorists. So if let me see, can we pull up this last article here? In striking shift, Trump reverses positions on election laws. No, it's not a striking shift. What happens is Trump has a habit of shifting positions when the opposition is against him. Then he'll change the next day, say, "Oh, no, that's not what I meant. Oh, I was just kidding." Sit your ass down. Call the Jim, James, Paul, and Tyrone Moving Company and pack your stuff. Let me see. Is it this one right here? Yeah, this one right here. So they changed the title a little bit. Facing calls for his removal, Trump reverses positions on election laws, rioters, and COVID. Let me show you this one quickly. I didn't get a chance to talk about this because I had so many articles and we only have so much time. Let's turn this on. Facing calls for his removal through the 25th Amendment or impeachment, Trump reverses positions on election laws, rioters, and COVID. Trump acknowledged a new administration in a statement. Okay. So I think that was the statement that came out late Wednesday or early Thursday morning, one of them. And his Twitter account was shut down. He was locked out of Twitter. It's questionable. Did he actually put out that statement or one of his aides put it out? A day after he told, so this article is from January 7th, 2021, posted 7:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. A day after he told his supporters, quote unquote, "We love you," Donald Trump condemned them Thursday for violently swarming the U.S. Capitol in a statement that called for a, quote, "seamless transition of power," end quote. He said, "America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy, end quote. So I think this is a statement later on in the day, Thursday. Quote, to those who engaged in acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay, end quote. Why'd you tell them that you loved them? You told them you loved them after they broke the law. You told them you loved them and go home, but you don't want to send them to the U.S. Capitol. This is what happens when you have somebody mentally unstable and somebody who does not understand how to handle the power that they have, and somebody who's vengeful and a monarch, a dictator. Although it was filled with numerous falsehoods, the statement marks a stark shift for Trump, who only Wednesday had been slow to call for the rioters to disperse and had to be persuaded to send reinforcements for Capitol Police as the building was under siege. Now, as I told you from the story from the New York Times, aides were saying Trump was sitting back watching the carnage that was taking place, enjoying it. Let's go back here quickly here. And we're really going to get out of here. Let's go back to this article from the New York Times that I showed you that came on January 7th, 2021 by this is the one by Michael Schmidt and Maggie Haberman. The name of this article is Trump is said to have discussed pardoning himself. Trump is said to have discussed pardoning himself. Okay. This is from January 7th, 2021. If we go down to actually what's the second page of the article. As aides urged Trump to issue a strong condemnation on Wednesday of the insurrection that he incited. As aides urged him to issue a strong condemnation on Wednesday, and he rejected that advice, the White House counsel Pat A. Cipollone, who defended him in the impeachment trial and helped this traitor stay in office so he could be derelict in his duty and more people die from coronavirus, and he incite domestic terrorists like what happened Wednesday. Pat Cipollone is an accomplice. The White House counsel Pat A. Cipollone warned Trump that he could face legal exposure for the riot, given that he had urged his supporters to march to the Capitol and quote unquote fight beforehand, according to people briefed on the discussion. The president had appeared to White House aides to be enjoying watching the scenes play out on television. Oh, you mean the insurrection that you incited that resulted in a Capitol Police officer dying? I thought you were supposed to be for law and order. I thought you were supposed to love the police. That's what didn't Trump talk about how much he loves the police and everything? Law enforcement, I guess, unless they're investigating you for your corruption. All right. So check this out also. But breaking news story. Capitol Police officer dies. Let's go back to this one here. NBCnews.com, Washington Post is reporting it also. I'm getting these updates. Capitol Police officer dies from injuries after clashing with pro-Trump mob. It should say pro-Trump domestic terrorist thugs. But I guess they're being a little politically correct. The officer, Brian D. Sicknick, is the fifth person to die from Wednesday's violent clash in Washington. You think maybe that's why Trump is having an about face even before this fifth death, because 4 people died and he incited the insurrection, and now he wants to denounce the violence that he incited? Okay. Yeah. All right. So check this out. We'll be back Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the African History Network show. Remember, right now, let's correct wrong behavior. Is not over till we win Wakanda forever. And this is follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. And for those who are seeing me for the first time, I'm Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, writer, and historian. And then we're on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time also. Okay. And visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, everybody. Talk to y'all later. Peace.